Howdy my dudes, Random Fight Fan here. I'm putting together a tier list of all the new uniques that came out in Dawn of the Hunt. So a little disclaimer, there is not going to be talking about some uniques that became really popular in Dawn of the Hunt, like Beacon of Aziz, since that came out in 0.1, the first league. So with that said, I don't think I need to describe how a tier list works. So here we go. Uniques here, so you can go along with them. They're mostly in order, but we got the stats for build defining, was actually worth building around. Potential, lots of potential. We'll see if maybe in the future it would be, or maybe we just haven't figured out a build for it yet. Mid-tier is mid-tier, like you could put it in, it's whatever. The void is, well, the massive gap between useful uniques and useless ones. And then we got ones that you see are their Chant Shards, and then ones that are just absolutely worse than useless. So first things first, we got Apep Supremacy here. It's a focus, and it's got a really cool effect that 20% of elemental damage taken from hits as chaos damage. It worked really well as CI builds. The problem is it's a focus, and so you're not going to be getting any plus levels to skills and the like. Maybe there'd be potential in the future, but right now it is just a Chant Shard. There is not enough way to make use of it, especially since we're already minimizing elemental damage as much as possible. Maybe if there's a way to get 100% physical conversion. Right now, it's just a Chant Shard. Arakali's Gift here, you use when it becomes poisoned, gives you some recovery. It's whatever, it's a Chant Shard. I'm not going to say that's less than useless in any way, because the fact that it's just a very small one square blip. Same thing with Dousing Charm right over here. This one here came into the weirdest spot on here. It gives you a chance to ignite enemies in your presence. This one here is actually really interesting because it's based on your max life. This is lots of potential. It could even be build defining. Like, I would be willing to put it up here, but we don't have a good build. Actually, you know what? I feel like there is with the Infernalist, since you can ignite yourself, there is a possibility that you can make a build-defining thing around Briare's Anguish, the only potential charm build-defining item, I believe. But as it stands, this here is very, very interesting, unlike, you know, just giving you a little bit of your own mana flask recovery when you become poisoned. Like, this here is just, it's boring. Bajordan's Belt here, it gives you cast on charm use, gives you a bunch of charm slots, and doesn't have the most useless stats because it gives you mana and dex. So this here, Bajordan's Anguish actually has potential. If there is a charm-based build, like right now with Bjorn's Anguish, there is a world where this could be really, really good. Scroll over here, Blood Prince, the Fierce Great Helm. Enemies in your presence have at least 10% life reserved, and you get increased presence area effect. This here is really boring to me. It's just a Chant Shard. Oh well that you see it, because like the increased presence area of effect could be okay for like a minion build and the like to instantly just chunk off 10% of the enemy's life. But this here's, there's so many better options for helmets. I don't see that being useful anytime soon. Blood Barrier here, inflict corrupted blood for 5 seconds on block, dealing 50% of your maximum life as physical damage per second. This kind of seems like the Huntress, or not the Huntress, is it the Huntress? Yeah, the Ritualist, there we go. Where it's got all the corrupted blood stuff, so maybe there's a way to put potential on it. But honestly, I think this here is straight up a Chant Shard because, well, one, parry and bucklers aren't very good. 2, this does not have good stats at all to make it worth using. And 3, you're going to be on an evasion base and inflicts corrupted blood on block. So 1, you're wanting to evade things and then you're waiting to get hit all the time. Yeah, it's super counterintuitive. I'm actually going to say that's worse than useless, because needing to wait to get blocked on a parry base, yeah, I don't see it being good. Now we got here Breath of the Mountain. You use when you take cold damage, gives you some power charge. There's definitely some potential there. There are ideas coming out where people are using these charms to give them maximum charges all the time, but it's a lot of investment. It doesn't seem to be worth it yet, but there's definitely lots of potential to make this useful in the future. Now we get the Bursting Decay Unset Ring. It's got rarity, it's got chaos res, and then it's got lose max life per second, but then attacks have physical damage equal to 3% of your max life. This could actually be pretty fantastic. I'm not too sure how long it'll take for somebody to figure something out around it. This could be really, really good. Now, quickly, I gotta scroll through here because this bothers me. Did I miss a helmet here? No, it just seems to have gone onto a random slot here. Where is that one supposed to be? Because I don't want to be looking at that one the whole time when I'm going through this list here. There we go. So this is the Bringer of Rain. I know exactly what happened when I saved this over. I took out the. So we will fix this right now. The Bringer of Rain, you can wield two-handed axes, maces, and swords in one hand, and you can't use body armor. It is a huge downside not being able to use body armor, but giving you that Giant Slayer, I think it is, passive for free is very interesting. I'm going to put this in lots of potential. I don't see this being good right yet because you're losing 2 slots, a body armor and a helmet, and this has no good stats on it, really. Yeah, it's got 600 to 800% increased armor and evasion, but there's no anything else. It's going to be kind of difficult. Maybe... I mean, you can't even use it with, like, the Smith of Kitava because you need to have a white base for that, but maybe in the future there'll be the tools to make use of the Bringer of Rain, but right now it's not quite there, but it has a lot of potential. Now we got Kalgir's Arc here. It has infinite projectile parry range. Yeah, it's worse than useless. Unfortunately, yeah, you don't even want to see this drop. It just makes you sad. It's not worth the slot in your inventory to bring home and turn into a Chant Shard. Now we got the Chain Sting Hunting Spear. This one here is a decent leveling item, but you're not going to carry it past leveling up. It's mid-tier. You're going to be happy it's there when you have it, but oh well if you don't. The Chernobog's Pillar here, the Black Steel Tower Shield, gains 1% of damage as fire damage per 1% chance to block, and has actually got some pretty decent stats here. Fire resist, chaos resist, and increased armor. I think this here could be build defining. There isn't a build for it yet, but I really see this as being a build defining unique, and not just potentially build defining like these ones could be if some things change around. I feel like this one will be build defining as soon as some people figure out like tips and tricks to put it together. Now, Clear Skies here, this Delirium Precursor tablet, it's worse than useless. Yeah, you would be sad if this dropped because having just a regular Waystone drop is better than having this thing drop. We've got the Cloak of Defiance here. This here is bogging up a little bit faster than I thought it would. It's something like this spear taking some space, but we will figure that out as we go along. Cloak of Defiance, 30% of damage taken from mana before life, and 50% mana regenerate increase. This here, it might be decent, but unfortunately, it's just okay at best. This is mid-tier. If maybe it had better base numbers, you could use it going in. This is pretty much just a leveling chess piece. Keep you alive for a bit, but it's not anything special. But now on to something that is special, the Crown of Eyes. Now, for whatever reason, POE DB is only saying that increases and reduction of spell damage also apply to attacks, but in reality, it applies to attacks at 150%. This here is absolutely build defining. It's an incredible, incredible helmet. This here, yeah, top tier, amazing helmet. Love uniques like this. It's actually worth building around. It's super good. Now here, Cruel Homogeny. Yeah, map bosses have an additional mod, whatever. It's still worse than just having another tablet. You'd rather anything else. There's almost no world where you'd not rather just have more rarity or experience or density or any of the like instead of this guy. Very, very fringe cases where having one additional mod is okay because, yeah, it does act like rarity and all that, but having the rarity, density, quantity for every other mob in maps will be better the vast majority of the time. Now we got the Curse Carver Wand here. It's terrible. It's literally just a Chant Shard. It's +4 levels to random curse skill. oh well, the curses aren't that good right now. Uh, there's no builds that are just be a cursor. Maybe if Hex Blast worked with curse level, I mean, there's ways that it could go into potential, but right now it's just a Chant Shard. Now, Devada's Wind here. This is actually a really good mid-tier spear because it is wonderful for leveling, getting you through the campaign and the like. It works very well with Whirling Slash and Twisters, but it is not something that you'd keep long term. Death Articulated here. I don't believe anybody is using this right now, but as you can see, it's got pretty decent stats with the attack speed, the chaos res. You lose 5% max life per second, but you regenerate rage per second and you don't lose rage. I feel like, even though there's no build for it yet, this is definitely a build-defining set of gloves that it just is going to take a little bit of figuring before somebody makes something really special with these. It's unfortunately armor evasion base, and with it being well, it gives the big chaos res, so it's not really a CI based gloves, but it's still very interesting. It's just unfortunate that armor evasion rating is the base for it with how bad armor is, but I do still 100% believe these are build defining gloves. It just is going to take a little bit of figuring because who doesn't want a permanent mass boost to all your damage? A big more multiplier. Now here, the Doomfletch composite bow. This one here is kind of a lot like the Tangle Tongue, where the Tangle Tongue gives you the twice crits. Hold on just one second. I'm going to zoom this out a bit so that I can see these guys a little better here. Gives me a better chance to click on them. But Tangle Tongue gives you quite twice crits, whereas Doomfletch makes 50% of your physical damage give you extra damage as another element. The reason why Tangle Tongue is so good is because you can take all the damage you take from all your sources, all your rings, your body armor, your gloves, your everything, and add it to your twice crits, whereas this one does all your physical damage to extra elemental damage. If there's a way that we could take that flat elemental damage that we have and do elemental to physical conversion, it would be incredible. But right now, with how all our skills work, everything goes physical conversion to elemental. So things are going to need to change in the game right now, because as it stands, it's a Chant Shard, but if a few things in the game change, it's a weapon with a lot of potential to be something special. Right now, it is not good though. It's Chant Shard currently, but in the future I see it as having a lot of potential. Here's the Dread Fist gloves here. Critical hits inflict Impale. If you don't know Impale, it essentially stacks your damage for the next hit. So a third of your damage sticks on it, and then when you hit it again, a portion of that damage is added to the next hit, and it stacks. So as you can see, a maximum of 60 Impale debuffs can be present on a target at once. This here is all physical damage, though, Impale is. But your crits can't extract Impale, so obviously it's kind of a... You want like 50% crit chance, essentially, potentially. It almost counteracts with it. But it's very interesting nonetheless. I'm going to say this is one with a lot of potential. It's going to be hard to figure out how to put it together, but it is very interesting. Now, we got the Dukeenhalt. 50% increased block rating, evasion rating. You take 50% of damage from blocked hits, but also 50% increased parried debuff magnitude. I'm assuming that means they'll take more damage when you consume the parry. This... Like, yeah, I'm putting a lot of these on worse than useless, but this one here might actually have a little bit of use in the early game, but it's a Chant Shard at the time. It's not worse than useless because it has the increased block chance, so if you did get it while leveling, I'm going to say, because this here obviously has no leveling requirement, it might be okay for the early levels. It's just, you're not going to use it any bit long term. Now we got the Effigy of Cruelty. Critical hits with spells apply stacks of critical weakness. That is super cool. It's rough that it's on a focus, so that you're going to be losing the max level of skills. And like this here does have a big percent increased spell damage with some int chaos res max energy shield. So yeah, it's a lower level item, but it's potentially decent. It's going to take a lot for it to be really special, but as it stands, this here is something that would probably get you through the campaign, allow you to get some really good, really good progression with a critical weakness, so that way you don't have to worry about crit chance. I see this as having an actual use somewhere. Maybe not yet, but it's definitely has potential. Now we got the Empire's Grass Titan Mitts. You gain life per enemy killed, which is actually pretty nice. A big chunk of strength. The stats are whatever. But increased global physical damage and knockback distance is reversed. Oh, hey, Beverly. Hi, big girl. I know. You have to get off, though, girl. You have to get off. Thank you, baby. This here is actually kind of interesting because a big issue with knockback is how the enemy can be really annoying to deal with because you're trying to chase it, knocks it out of the AoEs. But if your knockback direction is reversed and it's just kind of doing a cyclone around you, it could be really interesting. I'd say this one has potential. Nobody's using it yet. There's no real big reason to use it. It's going to take a lot to make it worthwhile, but that knockback direction is reversed could be very interesting for a build in the future. Now we got the Essentia Sanguinis. Life Leech is converted to Energy Shield Leech. Yeah, there's definitely... It's almost build defining. The only reason why I'm not putting in build defining right now is because Leech is pretty weak right now, even on the Amazon. Like, it's a nice little lair, but it's just not quite there yet. But it is very, very interesting for sure. The Ever-Grasping Ring here. Cast speed, max mana, and then allies in your presence gain a whole bunch of added damage and the like. Yeah, it's a pretty great minion ring. I don't see really any downside to it, especially since no rings really affect minions in any other way. This here is just pretty great. You obviously have to scale your presence area to take better advantage of it. But yeah, the Ever-Grasping Ring is fantastic. For Utopia, Stone Charm. Defend with 200% armor during effect. Ooh, that one swapped places too. That's obnoxious. It's worse than useless because, like, yeah, I could say Stone Charm, put it in... Well, you know what? It's a Chant Shard. It's only one slot. The only reason why it's one slot, or the Chant Shard, is because it takes as much space as a Chant Shard. Otherwise, I'd be saying it's worse than useless. Same thing we got here, the Forgotten Time Precursor Tablet. Again, you'd rather just have a regular Precursor Tablet. And then the Forsaken Bangle. It gives you a bit of chaos kind of resistance, only applied when you take a hit. And then it gives you some chaos damage prevented when you do take that hit. It's most definitely mid-tier. It's not anything special. It's nice to have, as opposed to some of the other charms. It's not anything incredible, though. It's good to have. It's better than most of the other charms, but you won't be dancing for joy when you get it. Freedom of Faith, Favor, and Ritual Altars. An area cost increased tribute, but you can roll them twice as many times. Now, this one here used to be a mere tier Precursor Tablet. It used to be, holy crap, infinite currency glitch, because you could make your rituals cost nothing to roll and to pick them. And so you just get into a map and just keep hitting reroll, but then they banned accounts that did it, even though they designed the item to work that way. And now it is just worse than useless, unfortunately. Gift from above, we got all Ellie Reds, increased chance, we don't care about light radius, but then increased rarity by enemies killed with a critical hit. All of those are actually pretty solid. And then you have Consecrated Ground while stationary. Now, do I see this as being anything special? No, it is mid-tier. It has some really interesting stats. It's got some decent stats as well, but I don't see a world where this is anywhere useful to you, really. As opposed to a ring with more damage, more survivability, other stats. It is definitely no Ever-Grasping Ring for minions. There is a world where it's okay, but right now I see this as just a mid-tier ring for sure. I got to get this chess piece out of here too. This is going to be another issue of the being in front of the name, but when it got saved, it did not put the name the at the front. But here, we're going to take it out and fix it right now. The Fallen Formation. Banners always have maximum valor, so it could be useful for a support build, but it's taking up a very important slot with your chest piece and minus 20 to maximum valor. This here is a Chant Shard. Now we're going back up to where this is. There we go. We're back to Glom Gown. Big increase to spirit. It's got some cold res, energy reshield charge. You can see it's just a mid-tier base though. Your energy recharge is 10 seconds. Yeah, it's not even worth getting. You get this while leveling, you're going to be sad. Yeah, there's the increased spirit, but well, you know what? It's a Chant Shard because you might use it for like a few seconds while leveling until you get something better. It's got the big increased energy shield. Actually, you know what? There is a way to force your energy shield to start going right away. This is growing on me the more I think about it. The energy shield recharge delay base is terrible, but I'm going to actually put it in mid tier because there's a world where this might get you going when you use like Covalescence to get your energy shield to start when you need it, but I really don't see it being good right now, but it's got some potential, but not enough to say like potential to actually become a build-defining skill. It fought for mid-tier. I'd say it's at the very bottom of mid-tier and at the top of Chant Shards right now. Now, we got here the Gore Girdle. It has extra charm slots, which is interesting. I think they might have changed that. But anyways, maximum physical reduction is 50%. Defend with extra armor. Yeah, all of this. It's a Chant Shard. I assume this is another case of a the in front. We are going to skip these for now and come into some more interesting items here. First things first is Heat Shiver. It has some actual decent stats on it. It is, let's see what level you are. It is an okay level base with okay defensive stats, and 1% of cold damage as extra fire damage per 1% chill magnitude. This here could be very, very good. It could be incredibly good if you have an all cold damage build with a bunch of cold magnitude. There isn't a lot of cold magnitude on the tree yet, but as it stands, this here is, I believe, a 20% of cold damage is extra fire damage as a base. This absolutely could be build defining. Heat Shiver, incredible. And now on that same vein, Hri's Ire. Very obviously a build-defining chess piece. This here is my favorite unique that came out this league. It's absolutely wonderful. The evade all chance, or evade all hits if you haven't been hit recently. So good. And it has decent stats, is a good level, an okay base evasion rating, and you can get some really crazy good numbers with this. I find this as absolutely pinnacle tier of what a unique should do for a build. This fixes evasion. Oh, I love it. Now we got the Ice Fang Orbit Iron Ring here. We got some damage to hits, which is okay. We got some attributes, chance to poison, but all damage taken from hits while poisoning contributes to magnitude of chill on you, which means if you get poisoned, which, you know, all damage from hits against poison targets contribute to chilled magnitude as well. It's a weird ring for sure. It's just you poison things and they get slow. Maybe there's something that will come from it. I'll put it in mid tier right now because it's got a little bit of damage, a little bit of stats. You might put it on for a bit. I don't see it as being build defining yet. I could be wrong, but I feel like that's just a maybe. And now we're gonna fix these two again. We are on Indigon, which is a very interesting one with a easy name to remember. So we got the Gnashing Sash here. It gives basically just chaos res, lose max life per second, and life recovery from flask can overflow maximum life, meaning that if you get to max life, you do not stop recovering. It obviously, recovery which overflows its maximum can be recovered up to twice that amount. I'm not too sure if that means it could potentially give you, like if you were at full health and you did a 1000 recovery flask, it would give you 500 more max life. If that's the case, then amazing. But you're also losing 5% of maximum life per second. So this here, it has potential if it does work the way of giving you twice as much max life. If you stack a really high life giving flask, I don't see it as being as good as like a Ingenuity, even in its nerf state, or a base rare belt with better stats, like 2 more resistances to go with this chaos res, some life, mana, all that stuff to go with it. But I guess it is something to think about. It is something with potential for sure if you could get a big enough life flask. It was almost a Chant Shard, but getting an extra 500 life in a game that does not have good life scaling right now could be really nice. Losing that 5% of max life per second is rough, which means you might have to play piano again, like Path of Exile 1, just to be able to make use of it. Now we got the Hammer of Faith here. Gain a random shrine buff every 10 seconds. And then it has all LE res, but reduce attack speed and increase fizz damage. Yeah, it's okay, but it's not even like you're going to use this with leveling, because it requires level 65. It's also a really massive weapon. It takes 8 slots in your inventory, so picking it up wouldn't be worth a Chant Shard. It's worse than useless. Even with that shrine buff every 10 seconds, that could be really fun, but that reduced attack speed and essentially bad stats on it means you're never going to use this for your weapon, ever. Now come back up to Indigon here. I am so sad that some of these didn't go in the right order when they saved, but as it stands, Indigon, 50% increased cost of skills for each 200 total mana spent recently, but then increased spell damage for every 200 total mana spent recently. Mana recovery other than regeneration cannot recover mana. So that means you can't get mana on kill. You're going to have to get a huge mana pool and a lot of recovery. But it is a monster amount of damage that is absolutely build defining. I don't see a way of making it yet, but that is in the future for sure. Something that needs to be done. There will be Indigon builds out there. It's just we're going to have to figure out how to get around this massive downside. I would put it in lots of potential, but I am confident it will be build defining without much changing. Obviously, no strong box, whatever. We got the Leopold's Applause here. The big thing about it is your hits can penetrate elemental resistance down to minimum of minus 50%. Yeah, that's build defining. That's a hell of a lot of damage. A hell of a lot of damage. And it also has 10 LE pen of all elementals damage, which is great. It comes with some rarity. Comes with a little bit of energy shield, so it's not completely useless with the mana. These are not bad gloves by any stretch. They are definitely build defining. We got the Muolnir here. Finally, people are taking advantage of it. Obviously, we know it's build defining. It took a little while for people to realize the lightning skills, the attack speed, and just dealing with the attribute requirements, because that's a lot of attributes. But it is absolutely build defining. It is a great weapon that has interesting stats with the 1-to-all lightning skills. It is not mirror tier, even though it kind of costs that, but it comes with the level 15 lightning spell on hit, which is absolutely beautiful. It is a really cool weapon. I'm happy people are taking advantage of this and making some pretty special builds with it. Now we got the Nesscent Hope. This one here, energy shield recharge starts on use. This here is what I was talking about with this chest piece, whatever it was called, where, you know, your energy shield just kind of starts. Used when you become frozen. So it's not going to be... what's the word I'm looking for here? build defining for sure. It's just kind of mid tier because it's just a charm that uses when you're frozen. It's just really interesting that, you know, you'll be able to start your energy shield recharge and it stops you from becoming frozen. It's two good things. It's not a downside on it. It even gives you a chance to gain charges when you kill an enemy, so it comes back a little bit faster. You know, it's a decent little charm, so it's flat in the mid tier for sure. Now we got the Nebulok Brigand Mace. You take chaos damage per endurance charge. Attacks consume an endurance charge to do a crit, and add some chaos damage. Has some little bit of damage bonus to it. It's too high of a level though for it to be really anything, but there is a world where it could be used. I'll put it in mid tier. It avoided Chant Shard for sure, but not by much. Nagamu's Chosen, same thing as, I believe it was this charm here, gaining charge. Yeah, you can gain, I think this one is max rage, there we go. It's kind of interesting if you were to be able to build around it to make it work for you. It's not build defining because there's a lot of other ways to get max rage, but it is very, very nice. It has a lot of potential for sure, but it being a charm slot that requires you to take fire damage, well, we could put it in lots of potential, because like obviously Smith and Katava will always be taking fire damage, so it's anytime you get hit you have it, but you have to wait from a hit. It's not even necessary. Well, I think Bellaton showed that you can get it when you make yourself take damage, and so it's not necessarily a hit, but that's probably a glitch. If they fix the glitch, it's just mid tier, and if they leave it or just change it so it's anytime you take damage, it has lots of potential. Because, you know, having max rage essentially all the time can be really good. Now we got the Night Scale gloves here, having 150% increased regen rate if you dealt a crit recently, but you can't regen mana if you haven't dealt one. That could be really bad. Obviously, our builds right now have a ton of crit, but that's not going to be an every league thing. And on top of that, if you get into like a mana siphoner and it hemorrhages your mana, it dies, and you have to walk for about 4 seconds to find a new enemy, you're just not going to be able to get any mana back. I find that these are just Chant Shards. It has decent with 50% increased crit chance, but it doesn't give you that much energy shield. It's got a couple of decent stats on there, so these are potentially worth using, but that cannot regenerate mana if you haven't dealt a critical hit recently, could be a real bad thing. Now we're going to the Nocturne Buckler here. We have some decent stats on it. Parried enemies take more spell damage instead of more attack damage. Yeah, that has potential. Just potential. I'm not going to spend too much time on it. Go a little bit faster. Now we got a whole bunch of uniques to go through here. But as it stands here, we got another shield. We got the Prism Guardian. 1 maximum spirit per 50 maximum life. That has a lot of potential as well. It could be build defining. It really easily could be build defining. Unfortunately, the best way to... Well, I'm not too sure if there's going to be a build that needs all that spirit on a life stacker, but it very easily could be build defining, and it's on a decent leveled base too. I'm not against saying that one has lots of potential at all. Now we go to the Prize Pain. Deal your Thorns damage to enemies you stun with melee attacks. That has a lot of potential. Finally unlock Thorns builds. Could be fun. Skills gain base life cost equal to mana. 10% mana could be rough, but oh well. Wrath Pit. Easy build defining. S tier for sure. Huge amount of damage, non-channeling spell damage increased by 10% per maximum life. Yeah, and also increased crit chance. Yeah, this here is a ridiculously good focus. The Rearguard Blunt Quiver, increased block chance, which is weird, but this here is worse than useless because it takes up too much spots in your inventory to even be worth a Chant Shard. And now, same thing, Red Blade Banner. Enemies in your presence count as having double power. Sounds very interesting, except for the fact that using War Cries, you almost max it out on one unique boss, so you don't need that double presence. You get like 5% increased effect because it goes from like, I think you go from 140% to 150%, and you know that variance is not 10%, it's like a portion. So as it stands, it is worse than useless because it gets you excited and then it disappoints you immediately, and then you have to use, you know, a shield, which is okay, but not worth it. We got the Rite of Passage. This here is absolutely incredible, except for the fact that it's so obscenely rare that it might as well not even exist. I would say build defining, but it is a void item because it does not even exist. Yeah, pretend like you'll never see this and your gameplay will never change. Rondel of Azo. Curse enemies with Enfeeble and Block is actually kind of interesting, but they've already hit you. So, and then who knows how long it lasts. It's interesting, but it's just a Chant Shard. We got the Sacrosanctum. Damage taken recouped his life as long as you have Energy Shield. I mean, it's interesting. It's got some Spirit, but it's on a high level base, so you're not going to be leveling with it. It's got some decent stats on it. It's just, it's mid-tier. It's absolutely mid-tier. I don't think there'll be a build going around it, but when you're leveling, you might use it for the Spirit, the stats, and hope to make some use of that recoup. Now we got Scytha's Spear. Aggravate any bleeding with this weapon. Also aggravates all ignites. Chance to aggravate bleeding on hits. You know, chance to bleed on hit. It's got fire and physical damage. It's interesting. It's very interesting. It's a leveling item, so it's not like you're going to be worrying about taking up slot endgame. This here is definitely mid-tier. It's worth slotting in if you don't have anything better leveling. It fits very comfortably in there. It's the perfect slot for it. Sands of Silk. We have increased cooldown recovery rank, but it gives Blink, which is actually very interesting. It is a level 16 base, so it just helps you out leveling up. I don't think I've ever seen this drop. I don't know where it drops or how it drops. This is very interesting. I'd say this here has lots of potential. You wouldn't be using that. No Beverly off draw. You won't be using that into endgame, but this here could be actually incredible for leveling. Speed leveling, getting through the campaign. I like that a lot. Yeah, pretty good. That's a good enough leveling piece that it gets out of mid-tier. We got the Sanguis Heroum Staunching Charm. Yeah, it stops bleeding and gives you Consecrated Ground. It is just a Chant Shard. It's nothing special. It's whatever. The Scold's Bridle. Take % of mana cost you pay for skills as physical damage. Oof. Reduce cast speed, but it gives you a big increased spell damage. I see no world where this is even remotely good because you have all sorts of other helmets that give increased spell damage or a way to get spell damage. And then it reduces your cast speed and makes you take a bunch of physical damage. This here's a Chant Shard. Yeah, I don't see that one because it doesn't have any interesting scaling. It's just 100% increased spell damage and huge downsides to it. Well, there is a way that it could work with like the taking damage gives you the charges and with the elemental conversion. Potentially. Because that is as physical. Okay. I'm going to put that on potential if it works that way. I'm pretty sure it does work that way, but it's going to be hard to work with. There is lots of potential, though. You're losing another helmet slot to get it put in place. You're losing the cast speed. So, yeah, it's going to be hard to work around, but there's definitely potential. We got the Sculpted Suffering War Pick here. Break armor equal to the damage of this weapon, but it's a one-handed War Pick. It's a lower level one, so yeah, you might have it. You might be able to shatter them, which is, okay, interesting. It's just, you might use it for a little bit while leveling, but it's a Chant Shard right after. We got this Season of the Hunt Overseer. You might use it. It's actually something you might use because of the Asmari spirits. You could have fun. It would just be it'd be a aesthetic thing more than anything. Do I want to watch them get hit by the Asmeri spirits? Maybe I'm trying to farm for certain charms to drop. Yeah, it might actually be worth it, especially if it helps you get this charm, the one with the like making you get possessed. It could be pretty fantastic if that's what you're hunting for, but it's a tablet that you might actually use if you're doing a big map boss area and just have fun. It's nothing that you're going to be expecting to make any currency on, but it could just be aesthetic and fun. Shabaya here always hits, which means you don't have to worry about accuracy rating, but it's a maul, and you're probably going to be doing slams with it, so worse than useless. Don't care about that one at all. It has the increased attack speed, which is nice, but it doesn't have any big damage or anything. Yeah, I'm not worried about this at all. The Silks of Veneration here, you get the increased spirit. Current energy shield recharge also gives elemental damage. Or current energy shield also grants elemental damage reduction. It could be interesting. It's a endgame chess piece, though. I'm not too sure how that one will work, but there's potential there. There's definitely potential to make it so that you don't need to stack resistances all over the place. So there is a chance that works, but obviously if you lose your energy shield, you lose your elemental damage reduction. So it's going to be hard to work with. There's a world, though, that it's useful. Cerberthorn parries apply 10 stacks to critical weakness, but you're not going to be sitting there parrying a boss 3 times to get, or however many times you need to get the critical weakness. I guess 2 times. Yeah, it's whatever. And it also, yeah, I mean, you could use it while leveling, but it's not worth it. The Sire of Shards. Spells fire projectiles in a circle and give you extra projectiles. Could be actually really fun. It's unfortunately a staff, so you're not going to be using it for anything that a wand would do. It gives you Sigil of Power, so there's a chance that it's useful for something, but I'm putting it in mid-tier because I don't really see it overtaking wands anytime soon. I don't see anyone actually using it for anything other than potentially something in the future taking advantage of this. I don't see it as having lots of potential yet, but who knows? I could be wrong about that. It's in mid-tier because if nothing happens, it's a Chant Shard for all eternity, and if something happens, it has potential. It's sitting in mid-tier, though. Skysliver. This here rolls, rolls only the minimum or maximum damage. Yeah, it's a Chant Shard. It's very unfortunate. It also has really big damage ranges, so you would need this to be lucky to have a better chance to not just roll 1 damage all the time, obviously. It's just really bad. You need consistency. Consistency is king. You don't want your burst windows to be 1 damage 5 times if you get unlucky. It's just not good. Silver Tongue. Arrows pierce all targets when forking. Arrows fork. It's interesting. It's a decent leveling one. You won't be using it too long, but I'll say there's lots of potential in here because it has decent stats for a leveling base. Ooh, we're almost through the list here. Good job. Not the most incredible, but it definitely has some potential. The Soul Mental here, we have increased number of summon totems and inflicts a random curse when your totems die, ignoring the curse limit. This here absolutely has lots of potential. This here is something very, very interesting because most totem builds don't have curses. You'd rather it be consistent, so it's always a curse that you need, but it is definitely interesting. I don't see something happening with it anytime soon, but it is very, very interesting. Unfortunately, it takes up a very important slot on your gear with the chest piece, but it deserves that. That is exactly what interesting unique should look like. Now we got the Spire of Ire. When you consume a charge, trigger Chaotic Infusion to gain 2 Chaos Infusions. And Life Leech recovers based on your Chaos damage instead of physical damage. This here, if they ever make like a poison-based spear build, which, you know, comes with the Splinch of Larada next, could be very fun. Chaotic Infusion is sort of like the Amazon, but for any class, it has some potential for sure, especially with how the weapon infusion is such a good utility skill as it is. If they can work that way, it could be really nice. But as it stands, there is no build around it yet. It's also not the best stats for sure. It's going to be hard to make it worthwhile, but a lot of potential there. And speaking of potential, Splinter of Lorata, any number of poisons from this weapon can affect a target at the same time, and always poison on hit with this weapon. Oh, that is 100% build defining. That is incredible. Absolutely incredible. And yes, it is a lower level base, but you know what? I feel like this here could be the peak poison build for something that wants to stack a lot of hits really, really fast to give a huge mill meter going on. I see this as being something very special in the future. Now we got Saronjas Head, which gives you 15% of damage taken from hits from your damageable companion's life before us. So essentially it makes the minion take our hit instead of us. That's interesting. It could be 15% less damage taken, but the minions die pretty fast. So it is mid-tier. Maybe if minions get a buff, sure, but as it stands, that's mid-tier. I don't see it as being just a Chant Shard yet because it's too interesting. Now we got the Stone of Lazwa, the Lapis Amulet. 15% chance to block while holding focus. I'd much rather have anything else for an amulet. Something much, much more powerful would be well received. Now we got here the Sunsplitter, which is potentially a massive amount of damage because +3 to lightning skills, fire skills, cold skills. It goes 1, 2, 3, gives you some max res. This here is definitely build defining. It is very niche, but if you have something that is like, for example, you have this is +6 to Trinity level. It's +6 to Elemental Invocation, and any of those other triple elemental skills, yeah, it could give you 6 levels to it. That's nuts. Now we got the Tabula Rasa. Yeah. If it stays with jewel sockets instead of rune sockets, this here is potentially just the best item in the game. It may be so rare that it doesn't even exist, so you could put it in the void. Honestly, I'm going to be putting it in the void right now just because it is so obscenely rare, but also so obscenely powerful. It stays in the void. This here is kind of staying to the... This here's more the line of something that is too strong, but also too rare. Now we got the Tangle Tongue here. Yeah, it only has one spot to go. Build defining for sure. It is the spear of the league for sure. It is incredibly, incredibly powerful, and it deserves to be here. Build defining. It is, yeah. Who would have thought that Fork's critical hits would be as strong as it was? I thought it meant something else entirely when I first saw it, but yeah, that is the spear of the league for sure. Now we got the Black Cat. When you become shocked, lightning damage from enemies is unlucky. I'm just going to leave this zoomed out so that I can see the whole thing for the rest of it. Yeah, this here is just a Chant Shard. Who cares? Now we got the Black Insignia Corsair Cap. You gain Tailwind on critical hit no more than once a second and lose all Tailwind when hit. So it kind of gives every class the ability to be like the Deadeye. But this here has something very, very special, and that it's just so dapper. You got a pirate ship on your hat, so I don't care. This here is build defining. You don't even need to use Tailwind on your build to make use of it because you're just going to look so dapper with the pirate ship on it. Yeah, that's enough. That's all you need. That's weird. Oh, right, we've already done the Bringer of Rain. I was wondering why my order was out of place, but anyways, we got the Coming Calamity here. One of the coolest chest pieces they released, but unfortunately it's on a really bad base with the armor evasion rating. It doesn't give you much life. You wear this, you feel like you're made out of glass, but it has a very interesting Very, very interesting thing with the enemies in your presence have no elemental resistances, so it works a lot like Beacon of Aziz. It gives you big all LE res, and it gives you the triple heralds. It's very difficult to make work right now, so as it stands, it's currently in loss of potential, but it is also a build-defining chess piece for sure. It is an extremely interesting mapping chess piece that just sucks right now. But it is build-defining, we just don't have a build to make use of it yet. And along that lane, same with Deepest Tower, this thing here is nuts. You need to increase your presence area because, it gives you the 50% reduced presence area of effect so that you can make use of this. Adversely, you could also just be a melee build, like the bleed build could potentially use this if it didn't make so good of use of like the Crown of Eyes and the like. But this here has a lot of potential for a lot of builds. Deepest Tower, very, very good and interesting helmet. It does also have the downside of, having less than good stats and being on a armor evasion base again. So there is that downside, but still extremely good. Alrighty, so I had to rethink the empty roar here for a little bit. I thought it was really useless at first, but the more I think about it, it is actually a really interesting leveling great hammer. I don't see it having any use outside of that, but the all attacks count as empowered could be really nice for some slam spam. It's definitely okay, but not build defining in any way. It's into mid tier now. Now we got the Fall of the Axe. It gives you onslaught during effect instead of slows. If only there's a better way to take advantage of this, but this is another incredibly good charm. I put it into lots of potential. It doesn't work with things like Chilled Ground, doesn't work with things like Temp Chains maps, but it does work with Chilled Ground. So it is actually really good, and we need more sources of onslaught because the move speed, it's pretty nice. We've already done this Fallen Banner one, done the Nash. Here, the Grand Project, all maps can be accessed in range. I can't say it's build defining because it's nothing you're going to be using in your build all the time, but it is really good at getting through annoying areas, especially when you're like Citadel farming. So the Grand Project, definitely a really good tablet. This here is one of their better tablets. We've done Hammer of Faith already. Now we're on to the Lethal Draw. The interesting thing about this one, you get the pierces, and they consume max life flasks to deal additional damage based on the life flask recovery amount. So it's kind of like getting, what's the word I'm looking for? Ambrosia effect, but it's using it all the time, so you can't really control it. It's got lots of potential, but it's going to be difficult to use properly. It's going to be kind of sort of a bossing only quiver, so like a weapon swap 2 thing. The Mutable Star here, defend against hits as though you had 1% more armor per 1% current energy shield. It's actually kind of interesting. Let's see here. Not the best base. It's a Chant Shard. It's nothing that we're going to be worrying about too much because armor sucks right now. I would say worse than useless, but if they fix armor, it's just a Chant Shard. We got the Prisoner's Manticles. You cannot immobilize enemies, which is rough. You have increased slow magnitude, though, so maybe that's something, but it's just a Chant Shard. The Wicked Quill, don't need to think about it. Oh well, if you get Chance Inflict Withered, it's a Chant Shard. Tidebreaker, all damage from hits from this weapon contribute to chilled magnitude. Okay, interesting, it's a Chant Shard. Well, actually no, it's worse than useless because the fact that it is a two-handed weapon, so it's going to take up 8 slots in your inventory. I don't care that it has 2 to 3 all melee skills. You can get many more levels of melee skills from a rare, and yeah, I don't care about that. Tyranny's Grip. This one here is an interesting leveling one, but the downside of cannot use projectile attacks makes it worse than useless as well. It actually does some pretty solid damage for its early level where you can get it, but the reduced attack speed makes it feel bad. I don't really care about the splash damage because it makes it so you can't use projectile attacks. It actually limits how you can play the game. It makes it less fun for leveling using this thing. I don't like Tyranny Grip at all. I don't care about the increased physical damage. It's worse than useless. Vlako's Roar, put it right there into mid tier with the other charge gaining. There we go. Charge gaining charms. That one was kind of hard to say. It doesn't really have anything special with it. It gives you Frenzy Charge. Luckily, Frenzy Charges are one of the few ones that are easy to get consistently with Sniper's Mark on bossing, so it is not the best. We got Vlako's Vice here. 100% of fire damage converted to lightning damage. Could give you some decent shock chance with a fire-based build, but right now it's just Chant Shard. There's better ways to deal damage. I'm not too worried about that one at all. Now we got the Vanopuncture. This one here, I'm not too sure. All damage from hits taken while bleeding contributes to magnitude on chill. All damage from hits against bleeding targets contribute. I feel like, yeah, this one only seems to work while you are bleeding. Weird. Okay, this one just seems really weird. I'm not too sure how that one works exactly with the all damage from hits against bleeding targets contribute to chill magnitude. So yeah, you're chilling other things, but while you're being okay, yeah. That downside just seems inconsequential because not very many things bleed you. So yeah, I'm not too worried about that. But increased magnitude of bleeding, chance to inflict bleeding, and all damage from hits inflict bleeding towards chill magnitude. I'm gonna say it's mid tier because this one's very confusing. Actually, I'm gonna say this one has potential. No, back to mid tier because specifically it's a ring slot. If it was anything other than a ring slot, I'd say it's got lots of potential. It's interesting with the fact that you can chill things really hard with bleeding, but it's just really weird with this line here because there's not enough enemies that bleed you for it to matter. It's not like you bleed yourself. We obviously don't look at the strong boxes. Vigilance view here. Enemies have an accuracy rating penalty based on distance. Yeah, whatever. It's a Chant Shard. Your maximum evade chance is 50%. Terrible. The only reason why it's not worse than useless is because it's a ring. You're going to be happy to break it down to a Chant Shard. Minions have an Unholy Might, but in reduced maximum life. So this here is a Chant Shard. The reason why is because if you want minions that have Unholy Might, you will be a Lich, and then you won't have the reduced maximum life, and then you'll be able to use a actually good chest piece. We got the Visions of Paradise, completing irradiated maps, just remove the irradiation. I'm pretty sure it resets the map and it doesn't give you the mods, but it's mid tier because it might be useful. It's not anything special though. Voltaic Rift here, chaos damage from hits also contribute to shock chance. This one here actually could be pretty decent and interesting. It's got a really big lightning damage here. Lightning damage converted to chaos damage. I don't know why they didn't just, make it chaos damage. But it gives it an extra line here. It's pretty interesting. I'd say it's lots of potential for sure. Not build defining, but very interesting. Wastegate, we haven't done Wastegate yet. Life and Mana Flask can be equipped in either slot. Yeah, I don't care. It's a Chant Shard. You don't need to worry about flasks that much. If you're spamming flasks all the time, your build isn't set up properly. Wave Shaper, it gave maximum mana as armor, which means it is very interesting with lots of potential. Increases in reduction to mana regenerate, also applied energy shield. Yeah, this here could be something pretty interesting, especially with the big maximum energy shield, the big spirit, some decent resistances. It's not bad, it's even on an okay base. It's not useful yet, but it's very, very interesting. The Widow's Reign. This one here with Ailment Threshold. Okay. But life that would be lost by taking damage is instead reserved. I tried this once while leveling, and I can tell you it is absolutely worse than useless. This thing is terrible. It will get you killed. It's a death sentence. Probably one of the worst uniques they put in my opinion. It's really, really terrible. Now we got Window to Paradise. Apply elemental exposure to enemy 3 meters in front of you for 4 seconds while shield is raised. So it's basically a shield charge shield to give enemies exposure. There is potential there because you could shield charge in, they have exposure and then hit. But right now, most things that use shield charge have a bit of a wind-up time. So hopefully the 4 seconds is enough for you to just go run in and smash. We got the Reckless Besiege, which has reduced monster density, breaches expand 20 meters in radius and remain open while whatever. It's worse than useless. It's completely anti-breach with reduced density. We don't care about the expands at least 20 meters because as long as you're taking out monsters, they're expanding anyways, so the reduced density goes against it, and the remains open while they're alive breach monsters. Who cares? Just give us more density so we can take out more monsters. Yoke of Suffering. I honestly thought this one came out last league, but I guess it's new. It came out this one. Interesting. They take increased damage for each elemental ailment among your elemental ailments on them. I find that, while it's not being used yet, could absolutely be build defining. That is extremely interesting, because if you are just getting shock, freeze, or shock, ignite, chill, that's 30% increased damage. If you can get freeze, electrocute, and who knows if they're going to add any other elemental ailments, it could be a massive increased amount of damage. Plus it comes with increased elemental damage, gives you all res, a little bit of life, which is whatever. The reduced duration of shocks ignites on enemies does not matter, because if you have your build set up right, you'll be applying them basically all the time. I find Yoke of Suffering something very, very interesting and absolutely build defining. Now, Uriel's Fostering Silvertide Vest, okay, or Strider Vest. You can have 2 companions on different types. I mean, I'm not a big fan of companions in their current state, but it is very interesting and has lots of potential. You could be a true Pokemon master with this chess piece. Now we got the Xerfes Seraph, final item here on the list. It gives you increased max mana and reduced life regen, reduced mana regen rate, but it gives you Soul Eater, which is increased skill speed when enemy dies in your presence, which is fine for attack speed builds, so you can move around faster with like Tempest Flurry or Whirling Slash. But if only this worked to give you movement speed as well, it would be interesting. But as it stands, it's a Chant Shard. It could be useful in the future, but not right yet. But yeah, that went a little bit longer than I thought it would. There were a lot of new items put in this league, a lot of new uniques. I hope you guys enjoyed that. This is my definitely objective, not subjective, 100% correct list of tier for all the new uniques. And I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you again, my dudes, and have a good night.